average personal savings rate is 4.6%, according to the Federal Reserve. Will the average American ever be able to retire given this low rate? What we want to do is run some numbers. And folks, on this channel, we use the actual returns for the last 100 years for the S&P 500. We simply project what similar type returns might do for you in the future. We include the depression years to kind of give us a worst case scenario. Again, we're kind of just projecting ahead what you might have. So let's go ahead and look at somebody in their 20s, saving 4.6%. Maybe they've got their first job and they're able to save somebody making $60,000, a household making $60,000 a year. 4.6% of that would basically be about $233 a month. That's all, $233 a month. We're going to increase that by 3% a year, kind of keep up with inflation. How much is this $233 a month going to grow to over these kind of time periods? Well, this is somebody in your 20s. For example, somebody be 45 years from now, it'd be 65. And each of these, all these would be 30-year-old, 20-year-old people. So this would be like somebody like 29 or so. But we ran the numbers, and this is how much money you'd put in over these time periods. And folks, in the worst case scenario, let's specifically look at the 40-year column. Worst case scenario, you'd have $1.446 million after 40 years of putting in just $233 a month. See how important that is? That it be in it for the long term. The median of this column is $2.188 million. Now, what happens? That's somebody saving 4.6% in their 20s. What happens if they're in their 30s? We're going to assume they got a little bit saved up. We're just going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Same $233 a month, increasing that by 3% a year. But let's say they have $25,000 saved up. Where are they going to be? For example, maybe they're 35 years old, and they've got 30 years until they reach age 65. What does that show us? Show us in the worst case scenario for a 30-year period, $864,000, the median 1.282. This is the breakdown for a 30-year column. 82% of the time, using numbers for the last 100 years, you would reach $1 million, saving $233 a month. 37% of the time, color-coded in blue, you'd reach $1.5 million. And 17% of the time, color-coded in gold, you'd reach $2 million. But again, what do all these numbers mean? They sound pretty good for $233 a month. Well, let's actually run some numbers maybe in a little different way here. Let's say, for example, you are 30 years old and you're saving that $233 a month. You don't have anything saved up right now. Let's say you increase that by 3% a year. Now, right now we've been running the numbers, somebody, a family making $60,000, a household making $60,000. So that would be $5,000 a month. A lot of people say when you reach retirement, you probably have about 80% of that. So 80% of $5,000 a month would be $4,000 a month. So we want to see how all these numbers work out. Now, what we want to do is we need to know what you're going to get from Social Security, because that's really key, what an individual can get from Social Security. Let's just say average, I think, was 1,900 this year. Let's just do 2,000. It was real close to 2,000. Let's just say 2,000 here. Actually, I should just click on this right here. 2,000. And how would this work out? Okay, this 4,000 that you need in today's dollars, in 35 years from now, 3% inflation rate, you're going to need 11,255 to have the same buying power. Now, if we're looking at age 67, this 2,000 going to grow at 2.5%. We're going to run a 2.5% COLA for every year for the next 37 years. You get $4,987 because that's going to grow. This 2,000 going to grow to that. But again, we've kind of been looking at somebody retiring at age 65. So what we got to do is look at 65. At age 65, you get 86.7% of what you were going to get at age 67. So you're going to get 4,115. All that to say is these are your expected expenses in the future. This is your expected Social Security. You're going to need $7,140 from your nest egg. Now, what we do is look at how the numbers would have worked out during using the worst case scenario, the worst 5%, worst 10%, and worst 35%, or worst 15% in the last 100 years. And folks, that would actually be enough money for a 30-year-old saving 4.6% if he gets this from Social Security. I know it's a big if, but I just want to show you, everybody says you need to save 15 to 20%, but it looks like you could save 4.6%. In this scenario, even in the worst case scenario, using the absolute worst, possibly the depression type returns, be okay if you get this kind of money from Social Security, which that's the average. Okay, what happens if you decide to take it? Let's say you're 32 years old. Still, your money's lasting over 40 years, even in the worst case scenario. And we're looking at this row right here. How about if we go to age 34? Now we're starting to run into problems in these worst case scenarios where you're running out of money in 16 years in the worst case scenario, the worst 5% of the time, you're running out of money in 18 years, and so on. So saving 4.6% if you wait till you're age 34 and you only have 31 years, this is what shows you the impact of compounding can do for you. If you can be in it for the longer term, somebody around age 30 or 20 has got plenty of time for this to compound this 4.6%. But the longer you wait to get started saving just 4.6%, you could run into problems down the road. That's taken at age 65. If you wait till age 67, watch these numbers change. I'll just change it to 66 first. Actually, 66 made all the difference in the world there. Why? Because you're getting one more year for this to compound. And the worst case scenario changed because we're looking at a different set of years here. And even then, your money would last over 40 years. Somebody 34 years old. How about 35? This shows you when we do this channel. 35, the difference between 34 and 35 made that difference right there where you're running out of money in the worst case scenarios. Again, this is the worst. This is the 5% worst, 10%, and so on. But that's taken at age 66. Watch what happens if we go to age 67. Now you're okay. So again, this age when you get started, 4.6% looks like it could work really well for somebody in their 20s, definitely, and even in their early 30s, saving 4.6%. Now, once you get a little bit older, you don't have near as much time, then you're going to have to save more than 4.6%. But I just wanted to answer this question right here. The average savings rate, are they going to be really hurting once you get to retirement? Looks like if you have enough time for this compounding to take place, you can have these kind of numbers in retirement. And if you remember to take into account Social Security, it's really going to benefit you. So you could possibly be okay saving just 4.6%. Again, I just wanted to run the numbers, which is what we do on this channel. We love running numbers for people. If you want me to run numbers for you, just ask in the comment section. That's what we do on this channel. We set up all kinds of different spreadsheets, run all kinds of different numbers, and just show you different principles of what's being talked about and showing you that this 4.6% isn't real great, but if you start young enough, it's actually enough to get the snowball rolling so that you can have these kind of numbers when you reach 40 and 45 years out. You can see these different numbers, saving just $233 a month, which is 4.6% of some household making $60,000. Folks, that's what we do on the channel. Please consider subscribing. Please share this with others. Let people know about this channel, that we run numbers like this, just to show you some of the principles that you really need to be aware of. Got them listed right there. Thanks so much for watching. Please like the video.